you think if I said to you Quadratus Lumborum, or Iliopsoas, or Serratus Anterior? I'm not getting flirty with you. These are three muscles that you've probably never heard of before, but you should definitely know. This is Maria from hockeytrainingpro.com. I specialize in off-ice training of hockey players, and let me show you a little bit about your Quadratus Lumborum. So the Quadratus Lumborum is a segmental stabilizer of the lower back. So it's important because if it doesn't have the endurance to do its job, often the bigger strap-like erector spinae muscles come in and try to do that work. And really it's not their job. If they're doing that, they're not doing what they're really supposed to do. And I think this is one of the contributing factors to getting that sort of ache in your lower back in the late second and third period of hockey game. So I'm going to show you a quick exercise you can do just to build the endurance. It's not going to feel like much. This is a small, like a stabilizing endurance muscle. It doesn't have to be big and strong. Let me show you a very, very simple way to do it. You can even add it into just your active rest when you're doing intervals, that kind of thing. You're going to lie on your side with your knees bent to 90 degrees and your hips bent to 90 degrees. Your knees will stay on the floor, your feet are together, and you're just going to lift both feet off the floor. Now if I feel the middle of my back, I can feel my vertebra, my spine. And if I come just outside of that, when I lift my feet, I feel some muscles tension, just as if you were tightening up a drum. So, you know, if I'm right here, there's my spine, I come just outside, that's the movement I'm making. And under my fingers, I feel that just tighten when I lift. Next, I'm going to show you a little test to see how your hip flexors are working. So you have a few different muscles that cross your hip. One of them crosses your knee and your hip, and the other one comes from your upper thigh and actually goes kind of through you and attaches to your lumbar vertebrae, your lower back vertebrae. A lot of you have a very, very strong muscle that just crosses the hip. It's called the rectus femoris. It's actually one of your quadriceps. And many of you have a very, very weak or untrained iliopsoas, so portion of the muscle that goes from your thigh to your lower back. I'm going to show you a little test you can do on yourself to see where you measure up, and then I'm going to show you an exercise you can do to help strengthen it or activate it if need be. So grab a spot against the wall with your heels, your bum, your shoulder blade, and your head touching the wall. And some of you will actually have trouble just doing that. If you have like a forward head posture or tightness in your thoracic spine, don't put your head back if you have to lift your chin up like that. So if you are tight in your thoracic spine or have forward head posture, just go with what's neutral. But for most of us, we'll bring our chest up and our head back, and that's quite comfortable position. And then what I want you to do is bring one knee up as high to your chest as you can get it. And that's hard to do just in itself. Some of you will really struggle with it, and you should work on it because everyone should be able to do this. Make sure this knee stays straight. So a little trick is to bend that knee, and you won't even be aware that you're doing it. Then what I want you to do is hold that knee up there, and it should be higher than your hip level. So mine is higher than my belly button, and that's where my iliopsoas comes in, or my psoas comes in to do the work. That quadricep muscle I was telling you about, the rectus femoris, it can lift to here just fine because it comes from here and then attaches to the front of your hip bone. But it can't, it's not good, it can't lift the thigh above parallel to the floor. So if we can hold that there, that tells us that we're using that psoas portion of our other hip flexors. Now what you'll see if you're not getting it, here are a couple things you'll see. One will be that as soon as you let go of that knee, it drops down to about parallel to the floor. And some people will be like, yeah, see, I can do it. No, it shouldn't drop at all. So you should be able to hold it right there without a drop, and then watch that this knee doesn't bend or your bum doesn't come away from the wall. These are little cheater moves that you don't even realize you're doing. You're not doing it on purpose, but your body will find a way. So check that out. See how your iliopsoas is working. And if you find that you're one of those people whose leg drops down, I bet you there's going to be a lot of you, try this exercise to help just turn it on. Again, just make it a little smarter, give it a little more endurance, get it working, doing its job. Keep this leg straight, and I'm actually kind of actively pushing that knee into the floor. And then this leg, I'm going to pull straight up toward my chest, and I'm actively pulling it up with about 40% of my maximum effort. I want to make sure that my heel is in line with my knee. I don't want my foot flared out or flared in, because then I'm using different muscles. So I'm just pulling straight up, and I'm going to hold, and then I'll switch to the other side. Again, I'm pushing this knee into the floor. I'm activating my glutes on that side, and I'm activating my hip flexor on this side with about 40% of my maximum effort. I don't want my back rounding or rolling or anything else. When I learned about the serratus anterior in university, our instructor called it the fencer's muscle, because he said you kind of, when a fencer lunges, that they're using that serratus anterior. So it kind of comes from here with like finger-like projections onto your rib cage. So sometimes in people who are really, really lean, you kind of see those fingers here. That's their serratus anterior, and it protracts the shoulder. But what it also does, because of its attachment, is it holds the shoulder blade flush on the rib cage. You've all seen teammates or just people at the beach or whatever whose shoulder blade sticks off the rib cage, and that's a problem, because then the head of the humerus can't properly be centrated in the middle of the glenoid fossa. So the ball in the socket can't be properly oriented, and then you really won't get sort of pain in your serratus anterior, your shoulder blade. You're going to get pain in your shoulder and wonder why. So let me just show you a quick exercise you can do to help build up some endurance in your serratus anterior. So this is one of the most basic exercises we can do for your serratus anterior, and you're just going to take a push-up position actually, and if you're struggling with it, you can even just go from your knees. That's probably a better place to start. But what you want to do is keep your elbows straight, and then just let your shoulder blades come back together, and then push them apart. So I'm letting my shoulder blades come together, I'm retracting, and I'm protracting. It's really subtle, it's hard to see. You'll be amazed at how tempted you are to just bend your elbows a little bit to feel like you're getting more range, but try to stay very pure in the movement. So start on your hands and knees, even though it's not going to be hard. I don't ever want it to be hard. Then you can go to the push-up position, so hands underneath your shoulders, keeping a nice stable torso, so don't let your back sag down when you retract. Retraction, protraction, retraction, protraction. And when I'm protracting, I'm even kind of screwing my hands into the floor a little bit like that, and I'm trying to tight, like if someone had, this is gross, but if someone had their finger in my armpit, I'm trying to kind of squeeze it in there. I don't know that, but that describes it.